After 51 years in space, he falls off the ship, and finally learns the truth about reality. By 2014, life aboard the Ascension is in full swing. 2 new generations have already grown up, but society has split into classes. Wealthy families live in luxury on the upper decks, hold prestigious positions, and cling to dreams of a bright future on the new planet. The poor, meanwhile, are cramped on the lower decks, doing the hard labor and increasingly doubting that there's any life waiting for them at Proxima Centauri. The ship is celebrating an important milestone, the 51st anniversary of its voyage. They've crossed the point of no return. The ship no longer has enough resources to go back to Earth. A young woman named Lorelei descends to the lower deck to meet Stokes, the caretaker of the livestock. They share a glass of wine, and the brooding man hands her a mysterious package before Lorelei heads off to the anniversary party. At the celebration, Lorelei finds her sister, Emily, flirting with her lover, Executive Officer Holt, even though she's married to another man. Amused, Lorelei decides to tease her sister by kissing Holt right in front of her before walking off toward the pool. Meanwhile, Krista, a teenage girl with unusual abilities, grows worried when Lorelei doesn't show up at the party. She searches for her older friend and soon finds her lifeless. Shocked and desperate, Krista screams, but everyone else is too caught up in the festivities to notice. Meanwhile, on Earth, Harris Entzman visits his father, Abraham Entzman, the founder of the Ascension mission. After suffering a stroke, Abraham lives in a nursing home and is in poor health. Harris works for the government and is convinced the Ascension was never actually launched. Outside the nursing home, a young scientist named Mark Hayes confronts him. He's writing a dissertation on Abraham Entzman's project and insists that Ascension did, in fact, go into space. Hayes asks Harris to dig up information about his father's secret project, but Harris doesn't want to look foolish and refuses. On the ship, Executive Officer Holt, Emily's husband, Security Chief Duke Vanderhouse, and Captain Denninger rush to the scene. Dr. Juliet examines the body and believes Lorelei slipped and hit her head, but sharp-eyed Holt notices rope marks on her wrists, proving it wasn't an accident. Captain Denninger, wary of causing panic, orders Holt to investigate the incident discreetly. Meanwhile, the shocked Krista lies in the medical bay under sedatives. Suddenly, she begins trembling and murmuring strange phrases. They're watching and the globe sees everything. Juliet gives her a sleeping medication, and the girl drifts off. Juliet explains that Lorelei had been depressed lately, and the doctor believes this may help Holt in his investigation. Elsewhere on the ship, a mysterious figure scrawls a chilling message on the wall: no future. Holt reviews the surveillance footage. The beach area is a blind spot. Corridor cameras show no one entering or leaving it unclear how Lorelei got there. Emily provides Holt with crucial information. Lorelei had been secretly seeing a man named James Toback from the lower deck, and they were together the night she died. Emily had tried to convince Lorelei to end the affair, but Lorelei threatened to expose Emily's own relationship with Holt to Duke. The autopsy results are shocking. Juliet tells the captain that Lorelei had been intimate before her death, had bruises and fractures, and suffered a wound in her mouth from a small but powerful bullet. This was definitely no accident. Denninger is alarmed. There shouldn't be any firearms on the ship. He decides to send a report to Earth, while Holt volunteers to track down the shooter himself. Holt goes to the library to study investigation manuals. Librarian Ophelia tells him the last item Lorelei borrowed was a recording from the 31st year of the mission, when a fire killed her parents. Strangely, Lorelei returned the box, but without the cassette. Juliet checks on Krista again. The girl lies silently, refusing to speak, but when she sees the doctor, she compliments her beautiful pendant. Their conversation turns to the journey, and Krista makes a chilling statement. The place they're heading has no life. They must return to Earth, or they won't survive.
There. That's life.
Holt's team finally tracks down James. Nervous, he admits that he saw Lorelei on the day of the party, but much earlier, they had argued because Lorelei didn't want to attend the celebration. After that, he never saw her again, and there was no intimate encounter between them. Next, Holt questions Krista. The perceptive girl believes Lorelei went to the beach because she was afraid of someone, but not James, who had always been kind to her. Krista adds that, according to Lorelei, the stranger knows a certain truth. Holt also asks about the strange words Krista had said to Juliet, but she replies that she just knows different things. Holt releases James. His alibi checks out, but decides to follow him anyway. Surveillance footage shows him heading toward the beach. Holt moves in for further questioning, and James insists he knows nothing about the missing cassette. When Holt begins to doubt that Lorelei died on the beach, they discover a hidden passage beneath the floor. Now it's clear how she got there unnoticed. Meanwhile, a distraught Krista climbs to the star deck and screams into the sky, demanding that whoever is watching her stop.
Leave us alone! I'm not afraid of you!
On Earth, Harris receives a message about an incident. His assistant, Carrillo, thinks they should report it to the director, but stubborn Harris refuses. He doesn't want to tarnish his father's project. Galt and Duke descend through a secret passage. They find the letters NF on the wall and a notebook disguised as a poetry collection. Following the red stains on the floor, they locate the actual place where Lorelei died. They show the notebook to Denninger. The captain confirms it contains schematics for the navigation computer and the water filtration system, which had broken down a few weeks earlier. Clearly, it was sabotage intended to force a return to Earth, so the captain authorizes a full search of the ship. Galt immediately meets with Emily and asks her to destroy anything that could link them. When the guards begin searching the lower decks, Stokes protests and rallies his men to resist. The fight is abruptly interrupted by an alarm. An intense radiation storm is approaching, and everyone scrambles into protective pods. Suddenly, the protective shields jam. Galt goes looking for an electrician on the lower decks to fix them. Meanwhile, James takes advantage of the chaos and asks his friend Nora, Juliet's daughter, to go with him to the beach. Lorelei had said she had something important there. Together, they retrieve pipes from under the water and find a cassette in a jar left by Lorelei. Juliet gives Krista medicine for panic attacks and leaves her pendant for protection. After dealing with a short circuit, the electrician repairs the shields and shares a crucial piece of information with Galt. On the day of the party, he saw Stokes give Lorelei a gun. Everyone returns to the protective pods to wait out the storm. But Krista sees someone in a protective suit enter her room and take the necklace. Soon, the storm passes. Denninger hears the electrician's story and authorizes a search of Stokes' workspace. They find the gun in a bucket. Stokes insists he was set up, but he is arrested anyway. During questioning, a shaken Stokes admits he did give Lorelei the gun but claims he knows nothing else. He's convinced that the girl feared no one. On the contrary, someone feared her. The guards find Stokes guilty and decide to exile him into space. With the supposed culprit caught, they hold Lorelei's funeral. Her coffin is ejected into space. Krista approaches Galt and gives him an astrolabe she found in her cabin. According to Lorelei, it was a gift from her boyfriend. Mysteriously, Stokes' chamber door opens on its own. He takes the chance to escape and reclaim the gun. Back on Earth, an enraged director Warren reprimands Harris for hiding the information about the gun, reminding him she can shut the project down at any time. Their conversation is cut short by a new emergency. On the ship, Galt shows Denninger the astrolabe. He knows it belongs to the current captain. Embarrassed, Denninger admits to a romance with Lorelei but swears he never harmed her. At that moment, Stokes appears with Nora as a hostage. He insists he was set up. Someone had been in his workspace during the storm, and he saw unfamiliar footprints. Suddenly, the airlock opens on its own. Galt uses the chaos to attack Stokes, while Denninger secures Nora. Galt and Stokes fight over the gun. As the airlock widens, Galt grabs the wall, but Stokes is sucked into space. Incredibly, after a long fall, a stunned Stokes lands safely on an inflatable mattress. A group of people sedates him and takes him away. Warren watches everything with Harris, who reassures him that everything is under control. It turns out that Ascension is just a simulation. The ship is actually inside a building, used to study the feasibility of a real space mission. No one on board knows the truth. They genuinely believe they're flying through space, thanks to star-filled window screens and random cosmic events Harris triggers with machines. Stokes undergoes a series of tests and is then locked up in a psychiatric facility. Warren sends security consultant Samantha to keep an eye on things. She doesn't believe Stokes is guilty and is convinced the real perpetrator is still out there. In one of the generator rooms, a mysterious figure plants a bomb and scrawls "No future" on the wall. The device soon detonates near the Terra chamber, which simulates different habitats to prepare people for life on an alien planet. Several workers are injured in the blast, but there are no fatalities. Harris and Samantha witness the explosion from outside and fall back as flames erupt from the ship. Galt, Denninger, and Duke discover the "No future" graffiti and decide to tell everyone the explosion was just an accident. Samantha tries to talk to Stokes, but he attacks her and refuses to answer any questions. Later, Samantha meets with Warren and tells him that Harris is lying about the accident. She also suspects that there's more going on than just a sociological experiment. Warren confirms her hunch. He sent Samantha to uncover the truth about the experiment. The criminal investigation is just a convenient cover. Galt continues his own investigation, still believing Stokes is innocent. He can't even handle a weapon properly. He also tells Denninger that the fire in year 31 was caused by a generator explosion, not an accident. Dwight, who's in charge of the generators, wasn't even born yet, which means a whole team of saboteurs has been operating for years. Lorelei discovered them, and that's why she was killed. Stubborn Denninger insists Stokes is responsible for Lorelei's death and orders Galt to focus on finding Dwight. Unexpectedly, James asks Galt to help him get into officer school. In exchange, he hands over a graphics card that Lorelei had taken and tells Galt that Dwight can be found on Deck 23, the site of the old explosion. When Galt goes to check Deck 23, Harris panics. The area is so damaged that outside noises can be heard inside. While Galt is there, the entire team must remain completely silent. Meanwhile, Galt finds a toy rocket on the floor and is plunged into painful childhood memories. His parents didn't survive the Deck 23 explosion, just like Lorelei's parents. As Galt ventures deeper into the space, people outside accidentally make a noise, almost giving themselves away. Confused, Galt knocks on the wall to check for echoes. Memories flood back. He recalls wandering here as a child, when his mother found him and shielded him from the blast. Deeper inside, Galt discovers both a bomb and Dwight. Dwight shoves him aside and activates the device. Shockingly, Stokes had been Dwight's father, and now the son is seeking revenge for his death. Outside, the ruthless Harris orders an evacuation, showing no concern for Galt's safety. The project is all that matters. Galt attacks Dwight, and in the struggle, manages to grab the control and deactivate the bomb. During the fight, Dwight's oxygen tank breaks. Panicked and desperate, thinking he's about to be arrested, Dwight strikes Galt and flees. When Galt rushes outside and depressurizes the chamber, Dwight's life comes to an end. Furious at the experiment, Samantha digs deeper and discovers a conspiracy site revealing that several scientists involved in the project either vanished or died back in the 1960s. She decides to reach out to the site's owner. That night, Krista dreams of Juliet's necklace. Meanwhile, Harris comes home and gives the same necklace to his wife, proof that he has connections inside the ship. A few days later, the team prepares for the annual vaccination. When it's Krista's turn, she panics, shouting that the shot is poison. Ophelia goes first to show it's safe, but the next second, she collapses in a seizure. Samantha is baffled. Harris assures her it's just an allergic reaction to the version of the vaccine meant for Krista, since each dose is custom-made. In the medbay, Krista blames herself for Ophelia's condition. She had been afraid of shots ever since seeing someone swap a vaccine. She'd only seen it in a dream, until now, it came true. Juliet and Galt insist that's impossible, but Krista also claims she saw the same person with Lorelei in the tunnels. And it's not Stokes, the figure from her dream is still on the ship. Meanwhile, Harris reviews the footage of Krista's panic and is stunned by her vitals. No one with these genetic markers has appeared since '83, when a single person got the wrong shot and their immune system turned on itself. Now Harris fears the same could happen to Krista. Samantha meets with Eva, the owner of a conspiracy site. Eva presents proof that 70 scientists vanished in '63. She reveals the project used Kennedy's educational initiative to abduct children and exploit their parents. Eva spoke to a woman who spent 50 years searching for her daughter and believes the key to everything is someone named Abraham. Harris decides to slip a mysterious compound into Krista's milk, but the clever girl senses something is off. She pours the milk onto the floor, staring directly at a camera she couldn't possibly know exists. Juliet inspects every component of the vaccines but finds no signs of tampering. Suddenly, Ophelia falls ill again. Krista spends some time alone on the beach when a figure approaches, trying to force a shot on her. As she tries to flee, Harris locks all the doors. The mysterious figure corners her in the lab, but when he reaches for her, he cuts his hand on a lab instrument. Krista fights back, and her anger telepathically causes a light bulb to explode, giving her the chance to escape. Harris isn't surprised by the girl's powers. Abraham had predicted this. Later, Krista meets Galt and tells him that the red stains on her clothes came from the attacker. Juliet uses a sample to compare against the database, but it will take time. She also worries about Krista's unusually high white blood cell count. She really does need the vaccine. Samantha discovers that Ophelia is the very same missing girl whose mother has been searching for 50 years. She shares this with Eva, asking in return what made these children so special, but Eva doesn't yet know. Galt visits Krista and convinces her to take the shot, encouraging her to focus on a single pleasant thought to stay calm. Later, Juliet's husband, Robert, comes to see Krista. The moment she sees him, she refuses the vaccine again. When Robert asks what Krista has seen in her dreams, she begins describing events she shouldn't possibly know. September 11th, the wars in the Middle East, the assassination of Kennedy. She also realizes that Robert is the same man she saw with Lorelei in the tunnels. Robert immediately injects her, putting her to sleep, then turns toward the camera. Harris isn't worried. Krista won't remember any of this tomorrow. Robert tells Galt that the red stains on Krista's dress were caused by the lab assistant, Juliet. The guards go to arrest him, but in the room they find that the guy has taken his life. A cut on his hand confirms Krista's story. Harris tells Samantha that no one is to blame for his death, but she remains skeptical. She brings up the many clues uncovered while reviewing the ship's logs. Samantha suspects that Stokes was right about the planted gun and that Harris may have had an accomplice on the ship who killed the assistant to frame him. But Harris continues to deny everything. Galt reports the result of the assistant's room search to Denninger. No leads linking him to the saboteurs were found. It's assumed he felt guilty for giving Ophelia the wrong injection. But Denninger isn't buying such convenient coincidences. A few days later, the crew holds a lottery-style party to announce that, due to recent losses, 3 lucky couples will be allowed to have children to help maintain the ship's population. In the middle of the night, Krista wakes to the sound of a woman's laughter. She follows it down the corridor and finds the ghost of Lorelei. The ghost bursts into the party just as the big screen begins showing a recording of Lorelei's romance with Derringer. The ghost tells Krista to look away, but the girl just screams in terror. Harris reviews the footage and can't hide his excitement when he sees that Krista reacted even before the video started. Her powers are developing exactly as Abraham predicted. The true goal of the project has always been to cultivate abilities like hers. The next day, Juliet runs tests with Krista in the lab. The girl says she saw Lorelai at the party and explains that sometimes it feels like she's holding back an ocean. Meanwhile, Samantha questions Carrillo about the ship's marriage system. It turns out the crew doesn't get to choose their spouses. The computer selects partners based on genetics to maintain a healthy population. The computer also decides who will have children. To prevent unwanted pregnancies, people receive subdermal implants, though some are forcibly removed. Children born under such circumstances become outcasts and are sent to the lower decks, like Stokes' son, Dwight. As Carrillo explains all this, Samantha quietly steals his key card. Their conversation is interrupted when Warren arrives, having read Samantha's report and clearly displeased. A nurse brings Stokes' pills. He finally feels strong enough to take the nurse down. While Warren and Harris argue, Samantha seizes the chance to reach Stokes, but he attacks her. Samantha wakes up tied up in the locker room. Stokes grabs clothes and a blade, forcing her to lead him to the captain. He still believes they're on the ship. Hiding from the guards, they make their way to the hangar. Samantha finally reveals the truth about the experiment, and Stokes has a complete breakdown.
You never left Earth.
She leads the shaken man away, and shortly after, Warren's operatives arrive to arrest Harris. With him out of the picture, Warren takes control of the project. On the ship, Gold checks on Krista, who is still undergoing tests. He also asks Robert about the explicit video involving Derringer and Lorelai. After reviewing the systems, Robert confirms that the footage was uploaded using the captain's access code. Derringer wouldn't have risked himself, which means someone else knows his code. Meanwhile, Krista keeps hearing a mysterious voice calling her name. Emily is one of the women chosen to bear a child, so her implant is removed. Duke talks about their future together and wants to be sure that Emily truly loves him. He's noticed the way she and Gold look at each other. Emily's silence confirms the romance. Enraged, Duke decides he needs to confront Gold. Krista sees Lorelai again and follows her from the lab to the beach, where she finds Duke and Gold fighting. Trying to stop them, Krista unknowingly unleashes her powers, zapping Duke with electricity. Not knowing how to stop, she loses control, sending a surge throughout the ship and shutting it down. Electricity surges through Warren and her team, killing several of them. Warren assumes Harris orchestrated it, but he quickly assures her that nothing in the building is that powerful. It was Krista, humanity's next step in evolution. Intrigued, Warren orders her people to release Harris. Outside, Stokes comes across a memorial listing everyone who died on the ship. He loses it when he sees his son's name. Samantha explains that she freed him because she wants his help to destroy the project. Suddenly, a guard spots them and tries to arrest them. Samantha and Stokes knock him out and make a run for it. When they realize Samantha is injured, they stop at a store for medicine and supplies. Desperate, Stokes demands the strongest medicine and threatens an employee to get it without a prescription. They then hide out in a motel to treat Samantha's wound. Meanwhile, on the ship, Krista finds Galt unconscious and wakes him before vanishing. Galt sees Duke approaching, then blacks out again, waking up in the medical bay. Chaos reigns everywhere due to the power outage. People think they're lost in space. In reality, the foresighted Abraham had connected the starry screens to the ship's nuclear reactor, keeping the illusion intact even during a blackout. Worried, Warren tells Harris to restore power first so they can monitor the ship again. Harris decides to tap into the nuclear reactor as well. Meanwhile, Derringer coordinates a ship-wide damage assessment. Sharp-eyed James watches a monitor and notices some strange images.
What the hell is that?
He tries to tell Robert what he saw, but Robert brushes it off as a system glitch. After James leaves, the cunning Robert cuts the wires, stopping all broadcasts from the outside world. Harris notices immediately and warns of a serious problem. The signal jammers weren't built into the ship. The illusion could collapse at any moment. Harris needs direct access to the jammers. Warren tells him to take Carrillo, who is secretly working for her. The medical bay is overflowing with people suffering from a failing air quality system. With all the repair crews tied up at the generators, determined Derringer and Galt head to the lower decks to fix the air scrubbers. Unfortunately, they can't be repaired. Worried that Krista might die, Warren sends her people to take Krista off the ship. Robert searches for Krista and finds her on the beach. She explains that Lorelai told her everything was fake and that she would be taken off the ship. Feeling that they're already on their way, Krista runs and waits by the door. Samantha meets with Eva to ask for help escaping the country and exposing Ascension to the world. They return to the motel, where Eva meets Stokes and expresses sympathy for his harsh life on the lower decks. While Stokes goes to gather their things, suspicious Samantha realizes she never told Eva about the lower decks. That means Eva was working for Harris all along. The website was designed so any evidence would look like a wild conspiracy theory. To keep Samantha quiet, ruthless Eva shoots her, then goes after Stokes. But the clever man escapes through the bathroom window. Relentless Derringer and Galt refuse to give up. They decide to release lithium dioxide through the ship's ventilation system, helping everyone feel better. Suddenly, Galt begins seeing Lorelai's ghost. He's developing a special power of his own. He follows her as if hypnotized. Robert catches the terrified Krista and admits he got rid of Lorelei when she discovered the truth. But he also urges Krista to leave with him, saying he doesn't want her to become a test subject. At that moment, one of Warren's goons appears and easily knocks Robert out as he tries to stand in their way. The goon grabs Krista, but before he can take her, Lorelei's ghost leads Galt there, and he attacks the villain. While the two men fight, Krista unleashes her full power, forcing both of them to vanish. All the images vanish from the security cameras. When a worried Warren walks onto the bridge to see what's happening, ruthless Harris shoves her down. Meanwhile, Galt teleports to an unknown planet. What do you think? Can deception and manipulation ever be justified for a greater purpose? And if Krista really does have supernatural abilities, does that mean the experiment succeeded? Or has humanity unleashed a power it won't be able to control? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.